Parthiban Kanavu. English translation by Anand Kannan. Narrated by Sujata Anand. Book 2, Chapter 16. The Senbaga Island. As Vikraman approached the shore, he could hear musical instruments suppress the sounds of the waves. Music from drums, conch, and trumpets rang out all the way into the sky. Amidst this music, the words he heard in human voices gave him goosebumps. They were chanting, Vetrivel, Veeravel, which means victory to Vel, the weapon used by Lord Murugan. Vikraman had been wondering what sort of people the occupants of the island would be, what language they would speak, and even whether they might be cannibals. He was pleasantly surprised to hear the chant that was typical of Tamil people from the Choya region. His mind started racing. What is this mystery island? Why are these people chanting Vetrivel Veeravel? And why are they gathered in such numbers on the shore? His pulse quickened. He felt dizzy with emotion. The log slipped from his fingers and his eyesight seemed to dim. A large wave hit him at that moment. It felt as if it was the impact of all the water in the ocean. He remembered his vow to his father. He remembered his mother's loving face, the sage's majestic grace, and the face of that girl with large eyes, all in rapid succession. Darkness descended on him. When he regained consciousness, his eyes were closed, but could feel sandy ground underneath. He could hear the ocean's roar. Someone seemed to be applying holy ash on his forehead. He slowly opened his eyes and saw a crowd around him. He remembered where he was in an instant. The musical instruments had gone silent. The chants had stopped. The sound from a lone cuckoo was amplifying the silence from everyone around him. Vikraman realized they were all worried about him after his accident. He sprang up to get on his feet. That seemed to change everything. There was a loud cheer, music, and greeting chants. The eminent-looking man, who had been standing close by with a worried look, called out, Please give way to the elephant. Where have we seen this man? Actually, he was the man who made a representation to Narasimhavarman in Mamalapuram on the day of the arts festival. People moved away. An elephant with adornments worthy of a royal elephant was standing at a distance. The mahout led it towards Vikraman. The elephant had a garland in its trunk. Vikraman involuntarily bowed his head. The elephant garlanded him. It is hard to describe the next few minutes. The crowd roared, Vetrivel, Veeravel. They chanted, Long live the king, and also, Victory to the king of Senbaga land. Vikraman's mind was whirring with mixed emotions. He was longing to get an explanation for all this, but could not speak to anyone amidst that furor. Still cheering, people helped him into the howdah on the royal elephant. The elephant marched inland. The crowd followed. Vikraman found all this overwhelming. He was sure he was either dreaming or hallucinating. The scenes around him, the canals, fields, and orchards looked right out of Choya land. They crossed a village that looked like a Tamil village as well. There was a temple for the village goddess, which looked exactly like he would find in the Tamil country. They entered a small town. Its square, houses, and streets looked like Urayur, but on a much smaller scale. It was not very crowded. There were no tall towers or palatial buildings. Well-dressed men, women, and children stood outside the houses looking very happy and chanting various greetings on seeing him. All this was too good to believe. Vikraman wondered if the Pallava king was pulling a trick on him. Is it possible he was taken on what seemed like a long voyage just to get back to a coastal Choya town? Upon this thought, Vikraman could feel anger rise within. Could the Pallava emperor have staged this elaborate charade to get him to accept being a vassal? While he was still wondering, the procession stopped in front of the most impressive building in the town. People helped him off the elephant. The eminent-looking man took him into the building. He said, "My king, this is the palace where generations of Senbaga kings had lived and ruled from. We humbly request that you reside here as well." "What did you say the name of the kingdom?" "My king, it is called Senbaga country." "And this town is called?" "Kumarapuri, my king." "Are you sure it is Kumarapuri and not Mayapuri?" "Mayapuri means town of illusions." "No, my king, it is Kumarapuri." "And can you please enlighten me as to who you are?" "My name is Siddhartha. I was the Prime Minister of the late King Vishnuvardhan. If you command, I can serve as your—" "Did you say the Prime Minister or Minister of Magic?" interrupted Vikraman. "Prime Minister, my king." "If you were not a magician, how did you know they were going to drop me off near the island this morning?" "My king, it is a long story. I can tell you all that later." "Fair enough. Just tell me for now if this is a palace or a prison." "Prison? There is no such thing as prison in this country. Prison, treason, and capital punishment are words that you hear in the land of Bharat." "Is this island very far from Bharat?" 12 days of sea voyage, barring weather delays." "Are you telling me the truth?" asked Vikraman. "I speak nothing but the truth, Your Majesty." "If so, explain how you are 12 days away from Tamil land but speak Tamil well." "We speak Tamil, but it is not just us. People who live in the lands east of this island speak Tamil too. People settled in these fertile regions in the times of your ancestor Karikala Chola. This town was founded by Karikalan's son. It was named after him. A Chola general stayed back here to rule this country as a regent of the Chola king. After him, his successors ruled the country. The last king of that lineage, King Vishnuvardhan, died without heirs a few years ago. The country was leaderless until today. People from neighboring islands started raiding our towns. We did not have a king and could not defend ourselves against the various hostile races speaking many languages all around this region. Lord Murugan has sent you to us. He sent us an offspring of the Chola clan, no less." Vikraman started listening with interest as soon as Karikalan's name was mentioned. As Siddhartha went on, all his suspicions vanished. Siddhartha's sincerity and tone of voice gave him confidence. It was incredible to Vikraman that the islanders were from the time of Karikal Valavan, whom his father had talked about often. He thought it might be destiny that brought him to them. He felt goosebumps on this thought. He was also moved to tears. He told Siddhartha, "Sir, I trust everything you say. As you say, the longer story can wait. Meanwhile, I will just make one thing clear. If I were to assume responsibility for this kingdom, I don't want to be beholden to another king. I will not pay tribute to anyone. I would rather give up my life than give up the independence of my country. You should also be prepared to lay down your life for freedom. The enemy may be good or bad, but we will never surrender. Please let me know if you agree with this." Siddhartha said, "My king, we have heard about the glorious martyrdom of your father, King Parthiban. The blood that runs in our veins is from Cholas as well. The Tamil people of this land are ready to sacrifice their lives and possessions to preserve their freedom. All we needed was a fearless leader. We have nothing more to ask after your arrival." The temple bell tolled at that time. Siddhartha said, "Please get some rest, get refreshments, and get ready. We will go pray to Lord Murugan in the evening. and start planning the coronation. End of chapter 16.